podcast. Today we are talking about carbs. I know this is one of those topics that gets people all kinds of confused, especially if you've been dieting on and off for years. You've probably heard stuff like carbs makes you fat, or if you want to lose weight, you have to cut out carbs. And honestly, guys, that couldn't be further from the truth. Carbs have been demonized for years in this diet industry, and it's left people afraid to eat things like bananas or sweet potatoes, fruits. Like we look at these things like, oh my God, if I'm going to eat this, it's going to ruin my progress. But the reality is, guys, that carbs actually help you build the body you want. And you have to remember that. And when I say that, I mean the body you want, the toned body, the strong body, right? Like the lean, strong, sexy body that you're working so hard towards. So in this episode today, I really want to break down 5 ways carbs actually supports fat loss and muscle building, and I'm going to explain why they matter with actual facts, so you can stop fearing them and start using them to your advantage. So let's start with reason number 1. Why do you want to eat carbs? The most important reason: carbs gives you energy to actually train hard. And not only that, not only train, but they will give you energy, because carbs are your main source of body energy, or main source of energy for your body. Your body runs on carbs. Carbs get broken down into glucose and then stored in your muscles as glycogen. That's your main source of fuel, especially for workouts. So if you've ever tried doing like strength training, spin classes, or even just like walking the dog while you're on super low carb diet, I've experienced that. When I was competing closer to my show, I was on very low carb diet. And let me tell you, I didn't have a good time. But if you've cut out carbs, and if you think, oh, carbs makes me fat, you probably felt super sluggish. You maybe felt lightheaded. You maybe felt even cranky because you just didn't have the energy. Your body didn't have the fuel to pull from. And when you are not fueling your body properly, your workouts are going to suffer. And that really matters, because again, if your goal is to lose weight, gain muscle, get toned, look leaner, look smaller, whatever, you need carbs. They're not essential, but the carbohydrates are very important and they're good for you. And the thing is that if you feel very lightheaded, very tired, very sluggish, just like no energy, you're not going to lift as heavy. You won't push as hard, and over time, that means you're not building as much muscle as you could, and your progress will slow down. Even fat loss gets harder when you're constantly exhausted, because your need, which is your non-exercise activity like walking, fidgeting, just moving around throughout the day, will also drop. So, which means that you have less energy, or you have low energy, which means you have less movement, and that equals fewer calories burned overall. So yeah, you could cut carbs and lose water weight really fast, because every single gram of carb you eat retains about 3 to 4 grams of water. So when you cut them out of your diet, you are going to lose weight really quick, but that's going to be water weight. It has nothing to do usually with losing fat. And your energy will dip, like you're going to have these energy crashes, and you're going to stop being so consistent because you're dragging and you don't have the energy to do basic things that you would normally do on daily basis, plus working out. So you're not going to see results, and you're not going to feel good. You're going to feel like crap. So don't do that. Number 2 reason is that, like I've mentioned, carbs helps you build and maintain muscle. So let's talk about that, because here is the deal. If you want to look lean and tone, you need muscle. And carbs actually help with muscle growth. They don't get enough credit for it. And that's why I feel like people are like, oh, let me just cut out of carbs. Like I'm just gonna lose weight fast. Here is how it works. When you eat carbs, they increase insulin. And insulin is an anabolic hormone. That just means it helps your body stay in a muscle building state. So that's a good thing. When you're training consistently and eating enough protein and carbs, you're going to be able to maintain muscle, have the energy for those workouts, and everything that I've just mentioned above, right? Carbs also helps your body use protein more efficiently, so that chicken breast you're eating or that protein shake you've had, it's just not like floating around doing nothing. Carbs helps deliver that protein into your muscle, where it actually can be used for repair and growth. So again, another important reason why we want to be eating carbs. When people are on these low carb diets, their body often breaks down muscle for fuel because they're under eating, that they're cutting carbs, and especially like I said, when they're in a like deep calorie deficit or even like regular moderate calorie deficit, but they're just like staying away from carbs, your body's going to start breaking down muscle for energy, and that's not what you want. You want to keep as much muscle as possible while you're losing fat. That's what gives you the defined tone look, and not just, you're not going to become just like this smaller version of yourself, skinny fat. So again, carbs are important if you want to build muscle too. Reason number 3 you want to be eating them is that they will help you with your recovery and soreness. That's a big one, especially the recovery. After your workouts, your muscle glycogen stores are depleted. If you don't refill them with carbs, your body stays in a recovery mode for way longer. That means you stay sore for way longer, your muscles feel tired, and you might even notice that you're weaker going into the next session. Carbs post-workouts aren't just allowed, they're actually needed if you want to train again the next day and keep improving. And this matters even more if you are training multiple times a week or lifting heavy, like 5 times a week or even less than that. I've had clients who were under eating so much, staying low carb, feeling tired all the time, and they just couldn't figure out why their strength wasn't improving. And just adding carbs back to their diet, literally within like 7 days, they were like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like I feel so much better within like 7 days, even earlier. So, it's important because you will have more energy. You're going to feel less sore, and you're just going to have so much more progress at the gym. And honestly, when your body feels better, you will stick with it. That consistency is what creates results, not one perfect day of eating. So again, if you're on a diet that makes you feel absolutely miserable, which usually these low carb diets are, that's why you're probably falling off track. That's why you probably feel like you can't stick to one diet for longer than a couple days, because they're just not sustainable. Another reason number 4 that I want to touch on is, and this might surprise some people, but it's huge. Carbs helps regulate also your hormones and cravings. When carbs are too low for too long, your body gets really stressed, meaning that your cortisol levels will go up. That's your main stress hormone. And your hunger hormones get thrown off, like leptin and ghrelin, to be specific. Leptin tells you that you're full, ghrelin tells you you're hungry. Low carb diets mess with both of these hormones, which means you end up feeling very hungry, irritable, and like you almost cannot stop thinking about food. Like you think about food constantly, right? So if that sounds familiar, now you probably understand why. Carbs, especially complex carbohydrates like oats, like potatoes, rice, They help keep those hormones balanced. They also support better sleep. Yes, carbs helps with serotonin and melatonin production, right? Melatonin is your sleep hormone and serotonin is your happy hormone. And when you're sleeping better, your body can handle stress way better. It burns fat more efficiently and it recovers faster. And let's be real, most people binge not because they lack willpower, but because they're running on empty and their body is screaming for energy. Carbs can prevent that. They don't cause cravings. They help prevent them when used and eat properly. So again, think about the day when you might just go and binge. Are you going to be binging on a chicken and potatoes? Probably, or not chicken and potatoes, like chicken and broccoli. No, you're going to be binging on potato chips, cookies, right? All these, but those are not the best carbs, right? But if you actually fuel your body and had the rice, had the potatoes, had, the pasta, everything in moderation, you will not feel the urge to go and binge on all of these quote unquote unhealthy foods, right? We know that there's no such a bad food, but do you understand now how you can actually prevent that from happening when you allow yourself to eat these foods that you label bad, or these foods makes me fat? No, they don't. Lastly, I want to talk about the fact that, like I kind of mentioned already, that carbs makes your diet sustainable. And here is the truth, right? If your nutrition, like I said, isn't sustainable, your results won't be either. Like I said, if you're constantly on these low carb diet and just low sugar and just don't eat this, don't eat that, you're gonna feel so miserable. And cutting out carbs might get you quick results on the scale. Like I said, you will lose a lot of water weight because that's the water, the glycogen, like I've talked about, but you're not going to stick to it. And what happens when you introduce your carbs back to your diet, you're going to gain the weight back. So you're going to step on the scale and the scale will go up and you'll be like, what the hell is happening? Why am I gaining weight? I'm just eating my potatoes back, or I'm just having my oatmeal again in my diet. That's because you're retaining again the water and storing glycogen in your muscle. That's literally it. So including carbs in your plan means that you want to have them in the right amounts that works for your goals. You want to make it easy for yourself, meaning that if you have them, you will stick to your routine because you're not demonizing them or staying away from them and just wishing to have pancakes for breakfast. Because you go on my Instagram and you see them on my page, like, how the hell she's eating pancakes and she looks good? Well, because I eat all the foods. So again, you can have the pasta, you can have pancakes, you can have fruit, rice, all of it, and still lose fat. You can build muscle, feel amazing. You just have to learn how to eat them properly, how to pair them with other meals so it balances your blood sugar, right? Don't overeat like sugar and stuff like that, and just like having a whole food diet 90% of the time, but allowing yourself to have even the cookie. But again, everything in moderation. It's not about cutting things out. It's about learning how to portion, pair them with the protein, and fuel your body for performance and recovery, and just learning how to actually eat. And when your plan includes foods you enjoy, you stop starting over every few weeks. You stop starting over every Monday. You actually stay consistent, and that's where real transformation happens. Guys, when I struggle with food, guess what? I was constantly cutting out foods, constantly saying, Martina, you shouldn't be eating this. This is gonna make you fat, right? And that's why I was always starting over every single Monday, because I was like, this week I'm gonna be better. No, it never worked, trust me. So let's recap. Carbs help you train harder, recover faster, build muscle, balance your hormones, and actually enjoy your diet. They're not the enemy. They're just a tool. They're important. They're not essential, but they are important. And when you use them right, they can help you to get stronger, leaner, and feel better. So if you've been stuck in that low carb, high craving, binge restrict cycle, it might be time to try something different and just start eating the foods you love. You don't need to, cut all these foods because it's going to make you really, really, really miserable.